So we had a pretty eventful week. We had Nandini Kishore Mata here with us every day, cooking, doing book distribution, many things like this. Yes, to speak up. I can't. For whatever reason, my tongue hurts a little bit.
It's because of dryness.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know what it is, but I think actually because with the fast, my body is purifying some potential infection in my body, so now it's come up through the tongue. So
my lungs is...
Your lungs are okay?
No, they're not okay.
Yes, so it's good. It needs to come out and come up, but it's impairing my speaking ability and singing ability.
You can...
You'll put a little closer if you want, just because I'm not going to be able to speak loudly. So,
take it easy.
yes.
You want to speak, right?
No, it's okay. Where are we a little bit? Oh, Narada has been getting the appearance of Sri Narayan or Sri Vishnu in his meditation. And then he disappeared from him. And then Narad was so... now this is, remember, Narad's past life before he was Narad Muni. And so Narad was quite disturbed, actually. He was not happy that Vishnu had disappeared. So Vishnu consoled him with giving him his voice, and he spoke to him and he said, "O virtuous one, you have only once seen my person, and this is just to increase your desire for me. Because the more you hanker for me, the more you'll be freed from all material desires." So this is actually our problem. We have so many material desires. It's driving all of our activities, our work decisions, our ambitions, how we spend our time, our energy. All these things are driven by material desires. So to free us from material desires, the Lord will give us glimpses of Him. And so He did this to Narada. So Narada, his senses, all of them were in ecstasy, having the appearance of the Lord. And then he's in great despondency now by not having the appearance of the Lord. But the good news is, he says, by service of the Absolute Truth, even for a few days, a devotee attains firm and fixed intelligence in me. Consequently, he goes on to become my associate in the transcendental world after giving up the present deplorable material worlds. So I remember we had a whole discussion about, is this world really deplorable? And actually, as in our consciousness as it is, the conclusion is yes, it's quite deplorable. But actually in Krishna consciousness, we can see this world in connection with Krishna, and actually it's not so deplorable. It's not ideal, it's still not ideal, but it's not like the transcendental abode that's completely beyond the modes of nature. But even so, even if we can somehow rise above the modes of nature, there's actually no problem even with the material world. But it's how we associate with it. If we associate with everything in service to Krishna, it's good. Computers are good, phones are good, instruments are good. But if we do them for mundane sense gratification, even instruments are bad, and the phone is bad, and these are all deplorable things. Chairs are bad, a chair to let a devotee sit down and rest is very good, but a chair that's assisting a butcher in his butchering, or a murderer is tying someone to a chair, is, it's not so good, right? So like this. So the Lord is going to continue enlightening Narada, and He'll continue enlightening us. And it's our great hope that we finally get it. We loosen the knot of these material desires that are just driving us and making us miserable, actually. That's all it is. It's just making us miserable because we're trying to control and dominate an existence that's impossible to control and dominate, because that's not our position. Our position is not the controller or the dominator. We we think we can to some degree, and there's many living entities who are given some license to control a certain portion of the material world. Maybe they're the CEO of a company, or maybe they're the president of a nation, or maybe the owner of a house, or something like this. But what level of control and domination? Or the head of the household, or something like that, head of their department. Doesn't matter. So anyway, hopefully we can slacken this illusion that we're the controller and dominator of anything, because it's all the Lord. It's all the Lord's energy. It's borrowed energy, and sometimes the Lord gives us facility to fulfill certain desires. Actually, it said the Lord will fulfill all your desires. Actually, it said the Lord's devotee will fulfill all your desires. You just have to serve the Lord's devotees. I know it doesn't seem like, it doesn't make logical sense. Like, all right, the logic is that if I work hard towards my goals, I can achieve my goals. But actually, it seems illogical. If I spend my time serving devotees and doing bhajan, chanting the names of the Lord, it doesn't seem like I'll get my desires. But I'm actually personally living proof that, I went through a Rahu phase in my astrology. I just finished maybe last year, actually. No, earlier this year, February. And the whole theme of Rahu is, so driven by one's desires. But Rahu is the shadow planet, so he actually covers intelligence, and he covers the mind. That's why Rahu, and he's always the enemy to the sun and the moon. So I saw very, very first man through this whole period how by chasing my desires and, an ends justify the means type of, philosophy. If I get what I desire, it doesn't matter how I get there. But actually there's a system on how one fulfills all one's desires. And actually the Vedas give you a system. You'd think like, oh, okay, in the Vedas it's even say just to fulfill mundane desires. Let's just say you want a good wife. Well, the atheist would say, okay, well, get out on the playing field and start looking for a woman. But the more religious person would say, okay, well, you could worship goddess Katyayani or whatever goddess is bestowing the good wife, and you start worshiping like that. But the devotee is even above that. They say, oh, well, why am I going to sit here and even worry about a good wife? I'll just worship the Lord, and He'll take care of everything. Good wife, career, whatever I need for my sustenance, the Lord will provide. So this is the intelligence of the devotee. This is the fixed intelligence in me that the devotee attains by being in bhakti, by being in devotional service. So this is really the secret. This is the transcendental secret, that you just worship the Lord. Everything's taken care of. Even the Christians know this. I don't say even the Christians. The Christians know this very well. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all other things shall be added unto you. This is a teaching by Jesus. So, it's kind of like a simplified version of the more elaborate teachings of Bhakti Yoga. But it's Bhakti Yoga nonetheless. But we've kind of refined the system even more. Well, we haven't done anything, but the Lord has refined the system much further in the ancient Vedas. But, who will pay attention? That's who will pay attention. We're so conditioned to, exist in a lower philosophical way, and then we get the lower result, and ultimately it's just a lack of satisfaction. There's only two types, it says in the Bhagavatam, that can be happy in this world, and it's the greatest fool. You think of the happy intoxicated person or something like this. The greatest fool or the greatest sage. Only these two people can be happy in this world. But the problem with being the greatest fool is that even if you learn a little bit of something, you're no longer the greatest fool and you can't be happy anymore. So you have to be a complete idiot to be happy in this world. Or you have to be completely enlightened. So what will you choose? Please don't be a complete idiot.
That's a much easier task.
What's that?
That's my
It is a much easier task, but it's actually, it's not easier. It's easier to be an idiot,
Yeah.
that's true, but it's eventually you lose your status of being a complete idiot with life experience. You get a little life experience and you say, oh, this is actually a little deplorable. And then next thing you know, you suffer all the way up until the point that you reach enlightenment. But so yes, don't be an idiot. The moral of today's class. But anyway, this is not so much on the subject matter. But let's we've did a little synopsis. We're caught up a little bit. Let's chant some prayers. And actually, the first prayer is that we were born in the darkest ignorance. Pretty much means we were born idiots, and our spiritual master opened our eyes with the torch of knowledge. So that's the first prayer we chant every day. So this is the secret to hear from the spiritual masters and actually have a lasting solution for happiness, one that can't be taken away by just getting a little knowledge.
Om Ajnana-timirandasya Indranashalakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Shri Gurun Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Vetam Savadhutam Parijina Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shakhanvitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindaneshwari Vishvanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakal Tarusvyasya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
What's that mean?
I offer my obeisance to the personality of Godhead.
Supreme Personality.
Supreme Personality.
Vasudev.
Very good.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devyam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God Narayan, unto Nar Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nutam Sata Krishna
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor or truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted.
By regular attendance in classes from the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
So the Lord, right now, very good. So the Lord is very interested in helping Narad by how? What is he doing for Narad?
Tempting him to come closer to him
Yes, in essence. By what?
by showing his form.
Well, he showed him his form, and then now he's withholding his form from him. And what's this supposed to do for Narad?
To make him more agitated, to get closer to him, do more bhakti.
Yes, and also to give up what?
So
Material desires, yes. So we just actually chanted a verse that was the secret on how to remove material desires. What was it? Yes. Yeah, but just by developing the urge to hear his messages first. And then that's how you actually get love. Yes, that'll purify your material desires, but then you'll get even more by regularly doing so. By hearing the message of the Lord, this is how we cleanse ourselves of material desires. And by regularly hearing, not only the material desires, all the troubles will go away, but love will actually arise. It's a gradual process. I have not achieved my pure love yet that I'm looking for. But the seeds are there. It's growing more and more. So we keep going. We should hear the message of the Lord. This is how we can give up our material desires, which are plaguing us so. It's known if somebody is very materially inclined, it's just they haven't heard much messages of the Lord yet in their life. And if someone is less materially inclined, they have heard more messages of the Lord. That's the symptom. So naturally, let's hear more of the messages of the Lord, and then we'll always be in better shape. There's no reason, even if a big interview is coming up or whatever, no reason to miss hearing the messages of the Lord. Or tonight, if you do have something urgent at one time, you just go make sure you regularly do that sadhana later to hear the Lord's message. So let's continue on. By service of the Absolute Truth, even for a few days, a devotee attains firm and fixed intelligence in me. Consequently, he goes on to become my associate in the transcendental world after giving up the present deplorable material worlds. Very good. I had, never mind, I'll have some later. Matir Maini Badheyam
Matir Maini Badheyam
Navi Padyeta Karhichit
Navi Padyet Kaharchit
Praja Sarga Nirodhepi
Praja Sarga Nirodhepi
Smritischa Madanugrahat
Smritischa Madanugraha
Mati
Mati
Intelligence Mai Devoted to me Nibadha Engaged Iyam This Never Vipadyeta Separate Karhichit At any time Praja Living beings Sarga At the time of creation Nirodhe Also at the time of annihilation Api Even Smriti Remembrance Cha And Mat Mine Anugrahat By the mercy of. Translation. Intelligence engaged in my devotion cannot be thwarted at any time. Even at the time of creation as well as at the time of annihilation, your remembrance will continue by my mercy. Prabhupada says, devotional service rendered to the personality of Godhead never goes in vain. Since the personality of Godhead is eternal, intelligence applied in his service or anything done in his relation is also permanent. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that such transcendental service rendered unto the personality of Godhead accumulates birth after birth, and when the devotee is fully matured, the total service counted together makes him eligible to enter into the association of the personality of Godhead. Such accumulation of God's service is never vanquished, but increases till fully matured. So it's happening lifetime after lifetime. We're accumulating more and more hearing of the Lord's message and acting upon it in service. So we've actually all done this before. You wouldn't come to this in this lifetime if you didn't do like a little bit. You know, like Piyush, we were born in a holy place. You all actually took a very nice birth. You know, some better, others situated. Me, I took a terrible, I love my parents, but I took a terrible, as far as devotional inclination goes, my birth was not so fortunate. But there was still something there through the Christian religion, fortunately. There was something there. But it was not favorable in so many ways as well. But still, somehow or other, able to make progress. But it doesn't matter actually what situation you're born in. Actually, a Brahmin that's said to have no devotion is infinitely less qualified and fortunate than a Chandala, a dog eater, who has devotion. We see this with Advaita Acharya, who is the leader of the Brahmins in Navadvip. He honored Haridas Thakur, who was born in what would be considered a low caste in a Muslim family. But he was the most qualified, and he honored him as the first to receive the Shraddha offering. So this is actually the case. And we see this now in even in ISKCON, there's many gurus who are also, like myself, have had unfortunate births. But they're the first to be honored because of the qualification that they've accrued. So like this, such accumulation of God's service is never vanquished, but increases till fully matured. So, I was looking for that.
Yeah, that's what Mark said.
Yes.
And I thought you knew it was there.
No. I didn't even break my my fast yet. So Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayana. Some warm water. Good. So let's continue. Intelligence engaged in my devotion cannot be thwarted at any time, even at the time of creation as well as at the time of annihilation. Your remembrance will continue by my mercy. So if you ever just think like, oh man, I don't want to miss out, I'm doing all these devotional practices. Maybe someone's even kind of encouraging you or forcing you. You think you're going to miss out. It's never the case. You'll never miss out by doing devotional practices. Oh, I could have got that job interview, I could have got this thing, I could have got that thing, but I was too busy doing my devotional practices. That should not be the mood, actually. The mood was you should do as much devotional practice as possible, and you should trust that by doing so, you're always taken care of. Like that Christian teaching, all other things shall be added unto you. So this is the case. You'll see this. I just saw this with Rishi, I really pushed him, to make sure he was doing devotional activities, and he has faith in the Shastras, so I gave all the Shastric examples. I really pushed him. And I see the Lord took care. All the right opportunities came, and then eventually something came. And he probably has even more opportunity. He doesn't have to necessarily even be limited to one. So, you guys, this will happen with you guys too. It's just Krishna is refining this intelligence in you that, to what really is worth prioritizing. And it's always bhakti. It's always bhakti. Everything else, it will come. Promise. Look at my life. How the heck does my life even work? Where all we do is, run this bhakti yoga center. But enough finances are there, enough money is there, enough facility is there. People are even coming. I don't even know how. But just every day we're just doing something, this devotional practice or this devotional practice, and it all somehow works out. And we're not very successful at all. But the fact that I even, I was told that I'll be on the street living like this. Lord never put me on the street, and even if he did, it somehow be his mercy. But no, not even close. Never went to the street. So don't worry, you're not going to go to the street or necessarily get deported or all these other things. The Lord will, he's always going to take care of your needs. So he's trying to have Narada remember this by his mercy. And Narada is a 5-year-old boy living in the forest all alone. It seems like, oh man, that's a tough situation, tough break, But actually, his intelligence is completely immersed in the Lord, and he actually got to see the Lord personally. He's actually the most fortunate. So even if you did get deported or get put into the forest or something like that, might be a great, really great blessing, you know. So we'll see. Maybe the Lord will be so merciful upon us. Text 25. Etavaduktvo pararamatan mahad
Tavadutvo pararamatan mahad
bhutam nabholingam alingam ishwaram
Bhutam nabolingam malingam ishwaram
aham cha tasmai mahatam mahiyase
Aham cha tasmai mahatam sahiyate
Shirshna vanamam vidadhenu kampitaha
Krishnavanam vidade anukampitaha
etava thus uktva spoken upararama stopped tat that mahat great bhutam wonderful nabhalingam
Nabhalingam
personified by sound
personified by sound
alingam
Alingam
unseen by the eyes
unseen by the eyes
ishwaram
Ishwaram
the supreme authority
the supreme authority
aham
Aham
I
I
cha
Cha
also
also
tasmai
Tasmai
unto him
unto him
mahatam
Mahatam
the great mahiyase
Mahiyase
unto the glorified
unto the glorified
shirshna
Krishna
by the head
by the head
avanamam
Nam
obeisances
obeisances
vidadhe
Vidadhe
executed
execute
anukampita
Anukampita
being favored by him.
being favored by him
Then that supreme authority, personified by sound and unseen by eyes, but most wonderful, stopped speaking. Feeling a sense of gratitude, I offered my obeisances unto him, bowing my head. That the personality of Godhead was not seen, Prabhupada is saying, but only heard does not make any difference. The personality of Godhead produced the 4 Vedas by his breathing, and he is seen and realized through the transcendental sound of the Vedas. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita is the sound representation of the Lord, and there is no difference in identity. The conclusion is that the Lord can be seen and heard by persistent chanting of the transcendental sound. So just by hearing about the Lord, actually we're developing what's called Shastra Chakshu, which means what?
eyes
Yeah,
to the Shastra
Eyes through the Shastra. So just by hearing, you're developing sight of the Lord. You're able to see the Lord more and more. More and more since I started hearing the messages of Godhead, the Lord's forms have popped up in my life. And we worship them every morning here. We have paintings of him everywhere. He's pictures and books everywhere. We have this beautiful art book, and more. The Lord is revealing himself more and more and more in our lives. So this is actually, he showed Narada himself. First he gave his audible message through the devotees to Narada, through the Bhaktivedantas. And then he personally showed him. Then after the darshan happened, where he was shown the Lord, then he was withheld. But he had the assurance of the Lord through his messages. And so the Lord, Narada spent the rest of his life remembering the Lord. And that's what we do. We also have to develop a sadhana why we remember the Lord. Easiest thing, chant the Lord's names. These are the 3 wonderful qualities of the Lord. Hare is taking away anything inauspicious from us. We have to trust that. Krishna, he's attracting us. He's bringing us love. And Rama, he's the source of all pleasure. And he's bestowing liberation so easily. So we chant these names regularly. We develop a practice of chanting the names of the Lord, by remembering the Lord, regularly hearing his message via the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and so on. And, we associate with devotees, and then we like it says in Bhagavad Gita, we actually get a lot of great satisfaction by conversing about the Lord together. Me and Rishi had a sweet moment last night where he asked me to read. My wife is almost like offended because she's like, you never want to read with me. And I said, actually, I never want to read with anyone. I always just want to read. But Rishi very sweetly asked me to read. And I said, well, how can I decline his offer? So I started reading with him. And it was very nice. By just like us reading together and discussing together and conversing together, it was actually quite enlivening. Maybe he was not so enlivened by it because he's now out of commission for the morning. But I was very enlivened by doing this activity with Rishi. but this is our process. So we'll continue on hearing the message of Bhagavatam. Maybe one more verse because we started late today. Naman yanantasya hata trapapathan guhyani badrani kritani chasmaran Gamparyatam stushtamanagatas praha Kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha Namani, the holy name, fame, etc. Anantasya, of the unlimited. Hatatrapaha, being freed from all formalities of the material world. Pathan, by recitation, repeated reading, etc. Guhyani, mysterious. Vajrani, all benedictory. Kritani, activities. Cha, and. Smaran, constantly remembering. Gam, on the earth. Paryatan, traveling all through. Tushtamanaha, fully satisfied. Gataspraha, completely freed from all material desires. Kalam, time. Pratikshan, awaiting. Vimadaha, without being proud. Vimatsaraha, without being envious. Translation. Thus I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the material world. Interestingly enough, Pathan, Prabhupada also translates that as repeated reading. By reciting, often in our age we have to read them to recite them. Like I'm reciting these Bhagavatam to you by reading it. So also by regular reading as well, you're going to make a lot of advancement. Thus I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the material world. Yes, a lot of times I'm encouraging you to ignore a lot of these formalities of the material world. Why? Because they're unnecessary. They're a waste of time, essentially. You don't need to follow the same process that everyone else follows. The Lord will bestow everything that you need upon you, very simply, actually. But it just takes a level of faith. So such chanting and remembering of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are benedictory. So doing, I traveled all over the earth, fully satisfied, humble and unenvious. I think non-envious would be a correction. I'm reading the original books that really didn't go through any editing. They're only a very basic original editing to be published. But now they have much more heavily edited versions, which I'm not as much a fan of. So I've been reading with you guys the original books. But sometimes you get something like that, like unenvious, which I think would be non-envious. So anyway, purport by Prabhupada. The life of a sincere devotee of the Lord is thus explained in a nutshell. I like that he used that phrase. By Narada Muni, by his personal example. Such a devotee, after his initiation by the Lord or his bona fide representative, takes very seriously chanting of the glories of the Lord and traveling all over the world so that others may also hear the glories of the Lord. Such devotees have no desire for material gain. They are conducted by one single desire, to go back to Godhead. This awaits them in due course on quitting the material body. Because they have the highest aim of life, going back to Godhead, they are never envious of anyone, nor are they proud of being eligible to go back to Godhead. Their only business is to chant and remember the holy name, fame, and pastimes of the Lord, and according to personal capacity, distribute the message for others' welfare, without motive of material gain. So this is ultimately what the devotee does. They become like a Parivrajacharya and they start going all over the world and sharing the message. I mean, even personally, we're running the center, but some of my best experiences this year have been when we traveled out and got to, share, and meet with other devotees, share realizations, connect with others. So actually, I have plans in my future. We'll see if the Lord fulfills them, to be able to go out and maybe even to share, if something has worked here, to share this this thing with others, so that others can do it. So actually, one of the reasons I got excited with Rishi going to Buffalo is it's far from here, but it's not that far. It's like 2.5 hours. So we'll still be able to connect with Rishi, and even maybe we can go. He can start a small program with some of his colleagues or friends, and next thing you know, there's also a few devotees already in Buffalo. We can have some regular program there. Maybe even monthly we can go, or maybe quarterly, or something like this. So this is actually what the devotees' interest is. Their interest is in glorifying the Lord, which is called what? Kirtan, yes. Especially the Namani, the holy name, which is also, his holy name is described by his fame. Krishna is the all-attractive one. Ram is the source of all pleasure. So they're glorifying him through the name, his fame. So by regularly glorifying the Lord, everything is always there. And all the other formalities of the material world, like somehow or other, I'm able to do this while having a wife. I've been told, even by many devotees, "Oh, Prabhu, you should stop preaching now. You should go to work. You should get a job, be like everyone else, do these things." And these are some formalities. But I had faith, actually, that this formality is, I don't think it's necessary. I had faith that, if we sincerely take to this process, I've read enough, I've heard enough, that I have faith in this way. And I maybe realized enough that, no, I don't think that's necessary. Yes, I will have to do some work. We provide, you see the Airbnb rooms, we're providing some service for the community to come in. But that's just basically, I try to give that as little effort in my life as possible, so I can focus on this thing. And the Lord, He's arranged that, she's fine. When there'll be children, I'm sure they'll be fine. I'll be fine. Everything will be fine. And even if it seems like it's not fine, it is fine. Maybe our parents will never see like that. Maybe, our friends or, worldly associates will never see like that. But the devotee has full faith. Everything will always work out. So that's why Narad can travel all over the world. That's why he, as a young boy, didn't feel scared. Oh, what forest animal is going to eat me? What dacoit is going to kill me? What person is going to do this or that to me? Always feeling the Lord's protection. So we too, we should always feel like this. And we should make the main thing the main thing. As Vaishishka Prabhu says, make the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is to do Harinam Sankirtan. To chant the names of the Lord and hear His glories and share His glories with others. Then we will remember Him. And then we'll know the activities to do, like we do deity worship here. And we're trying to train you guys also in doing some forms of deity worship. We're making prasadam, which is a form of deity worship. We're honoring the prasadam, which is honoring the deity worship. We're singing before the deities. We're clapping before the deities. Actually, Prabhupada has said that when you clap before the deities, you've heard of palmistry? The lines on your hand that indicates your karma. It's connected with astrology. But by clapping before the deities, and Sahil, you love to clap before the deities. The lines on your hands change by doing that. That's what the adage is that they say. That essentially your astrology is so important. Yes, it measures your karma. It's very accurate at measuring your karma. But the devotee is nirguna. They're above the material modes of nature, which means they're above karma. Which means your astrological so-called limitations, or even good pieties or good fortunes, are not actually qualified to measure your stage of pure devotion. That's completely transcendental to that. So anyway, so come, keep coming, keep clapping before the deities. Let the lines on your hands change. Don't worry about any fallen planets or any type of, karmic misfortune. We should not be foolish in thinking, yes, I've transcended the material modes of nature. Maybe in some activities you have, like when you're engaging in kirtan or engaging in hearing Harikatha, Bhagavatam. Yes, in that moment, maybe. But then when we go back to our, our materially motivated life, then we are dictated by karma again. Or, at least Krishna's semblance of karma, where he's trying to just poke us in the right direction. So now you're going off again. Here, let me give you this little, Piyush calls them slaps of Krishna. Try, these little slap back on the path. No, get back on the path. You're going off. There's very dangerous over here. There's a lot of thorns. Get back on the path. It's a love tap. It's like when you're a child. If you touch a hot stove and your mother or father slaps your hand, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's not that they are vicious to you, but they're protecting you. Oh, what are you doing over there with playing with fire? Are you nuts? So Krishna has to hiss. What are you doing over there in the thorn bushes? Get back on the path. Are you crazy? So like this. So anyway, I wish you guys all luck. Thank you guys for joining online, and especially you guys here in person. Be assured, today Ekadashi, the proper way to handle today is don't immediately indulge back in everything. Just take it light today. If you ate yesterday, maybe have reduced food intake today, and if you didn't eat yesterday, have very much reduced food intake, even to the point of maybe only one meal might be best for the digestion. But anyway, take it easier today, reintegrate, and prioritize your spiritual life. These are Ekadashis. A lot of times we take off, our material activities for the Ekadashi, and I'm going to chant, and I'm going to get all kinds of spiritual merit. Everything's enhanced on this day. And you're right. But the real enhancement that comes is the realization that, let me adjust my life going forward into the future, that every day I take this a little bit more prominently. So now, this is your day of kind of adjustment and victory. Well, tomorrow's the day of victory. Trayadashi is the day of victory. So once you complete the whole 3-day Ekadashi Vrat, I know I haven't really trained you guys on how to do the whole 3-day Vrat. So right now we're just working on Ekadashi. Don't do this and do this, but there is actually a 3-day process to it. So yeah, reintegrate and enhance your devotional activities. That's what Ekadashi is all about. And your life, you should evolve now. So whatever you've realized yesterday in your spiritual bhajan, you should take going forward. So anyway, thank you guys. I know, Sahil, you have a busy day. Piyush and Rishi. Actually, we're not going to do Harinam today. Even probably the next 3 days will be cold. So I'll have some things we'll do here. We'll do like a save hour or two. And but yeah, we'll figure it out. But thank you guys. Hare Krishna. Parth, thanks for staying a little later. It's in your best interest and good fortune by doing like that. So